Okay, and Seabiscuit was the winning money racer for total money ever won at that time. And also in 1949, there was a movie about it, which Shirley Temple acted in. That's pretty popular.
Baseball goes to war. President Roosevelt wrote the green light letter, which gave the MLB the green light to continue throughout the war, even though 500 professional and minor league players were drafted. This is Joe DiMaggio. He was drafted, probably one of the most famous baseball players that got drafted. And he reached the rank of sergeant, and that's President Roosevelt throwing out the ceremonial first pitch from the stands, and he's grasping onto the bar in front of him to keep his balance. Women's baseball started. It was the All-American League, where 15 teams, and most of them were from the Midwest. They used a bigger ball, 12 inches circumference, which is like 2 or 2.5 inches bigger than softballs now, and shorter distance to first and to the fifth mound. And the mound was not raised. The Rockford Peaches from Indiana were good. They won 4 times in the 1940s and they won in the 1950s. Jackie Robinson first broke the color barrier. He was the first African American to play Major League Baseball, and played for the Brooklyn Dodgers from 1947 to 1956. And he was drafted in 42, but he never served overseas because he was in a segregated cavalry unit with Joe Louis. But when he was getting on the bus, a white unit got on, and they told Jackie Robinson to go to the back of the bus, and he refused. He was arrested and charged with public drunkenness, but he never drank. So he was tried by all-white jury. So, and his number is retired in all of baseball. And this is the Tigers, played in the 1945 World Series.
It's the War Victory Series between the Cubs and Tigers. Greenberg hammers the ball into left field bleachers and ties the score 7-7.
Okay, American football. Most of the American AFL was canceled in 1941 due to the entering of the United States into World War II. Throughout the whole war, there were 3 NFL players that died, or not 3, 21 players that died, and there was 3 players that received the Medal of Honor. And then a little bit closer to home, the University of Michigan throughout the 1940s was did very well. They were in the top 10 teams throughout the whole decade. And in 1948, they were the top team. Tom Harmon was a very big player in 1941 that played for University of Michigan. And in that year, when he was drafted, he got drafted to the Chicago Bears, and he was the first-round pick. And Fritz Crisler was the coach that led their football team to the victory in 1948.
Hockey in the 1940s. In the 1940s, teams were still coming across the Canadian border. They were setting up teams in major cities. And in 1942-43, there was the original 6 was formed, which was the Detroit Red Wings, Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, Chicago Blackhawks, Montreal Canadiens, and the New York Rangers. All these teams still exist today, and in the 1940s there was many rule changes. There's regulations on what equipment you could wear. There was rules on contact and checking. And here is a picture of Herb Carnegie and Gordie Howe. Story about Herb Carnegie. He was the first African-American hockey player. He played 1 game for an NHL team, and then he quit and went back to the Canadian League. In a 1948 famous incident, a Toronto Maple Leafs coach wanted Herb on his team, and he offered any doctor $10,000 if they could turn him white, because he wanted a white man on his team and not a black man. And he reportedly said he wants his skills but not his color. As you can imagine, that didn't go over very well, and he ended up getting fired. Gordie Howe, he's often referred to as Mr. Hockey. He's generally regarded to as the greatest hockey player of all time. He set almost every single NHL record at the time. Played for the Detroit Red Wings for his whole entire career. He was so popular that he has a trademark on his name, Mr. Hockey, and that trademark is still in place today. Hockey equipment in the 40s, skates design, they got stiffer on the ankles, which allowed for more support. Helmets, which is similar to like wrestling headgear, it didn't offer very little protection. It protected the vital areas of the head, and I guess all the other areas weren't as important. The stick, it kept developing the curved blade, which allowed for faster shots and more accurate shots and stick control. And this is the first goalie mask ever worn. It protected the face, and only one goalie wore it at the time.
The 1940s were an era for the sport of golf marked by the dominance of Ben Hogan, Byron Nelson, and Sam Snead, as well as negative relationships amongst the players. The professionals always looked to keep the game amongst the 1%, so to speak, while the rising amateurs wanted to promote it to the widespread so that it could gain national recognition. The war resulted in 14 cancellations of majors, all between 1940 and 1945, resulting in only 22 of possible 36. And the Ryder Cup, a friendly matchup between a team from the U.S. and a team from Europe, was canceled from 1940 to 1943. This is a picture of Byron Nelson after he won the 1942 PGA Championship. Tennis in the 1940s was suffering the same conflicts between the professionals and amateurs. And Ted Schroeder refused to turn professional despite winning the 1942 and 1949 Wimbledon tournaments because he wanted to support the widespread promotion of the game. That's a picture of him winning the 1942 Wimbledon tournament. And Nick Carter was the leading amateur during the 1940s, winning the 1949 U.S. Clay Court Champions, as well as the 1946 Cincinnati Masters, both of which would have alone made him eligible to turn professional, but he refused to do so because he, as well as Ted Schroeder, wanted to promote the widespread recognition of the game. And the French Open was canceled due to World War II every year from 1940 to 1945.
It's hard to have it if the Germans don't.